What's happening, everyone? Welcome to our next video. Real quick topic, maybe not quick. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Sometimes we go a little long, and this one is where you buy guitars and some things we like and maybe dislike, or what we like about certain platforms or others.
Yeah.
You know, as you look and buy guitars, we want to know where you buy guitars so that we can go buy guitars from those secret places that you have on the internet. When you think of, you know, a new guitar that you want or used guitar that you want, what is the first website that you go to?
Well, I think I don't know if it's because of like how old I am or whatever, but I kind of hit Reverb first, and I think maybe because, you know, there's the app on the phone, and it's like I have the eBay app too in like the same little square. But it's just, I don't know, I think the user interface is just a little more friendly, and it was before when it was like a CME thing, but now that it's a Netsy thing, like they're really like, they kind of know how to make, like, to build the website or the user interface, make it super friendly, I think, or I don't know. It's just the one, it's like, that's what I'm always on, like, you know, it's like there's times where it's just like, oh, I'm on Reverb again, you know, you don't even realize it. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I feel like eBay is still like king. That was like they kind of started that whole selling online thing, and I remember when like I had friends that were just like eBay dudes that would like flip stuff on eBay and, you know, the auction thing. But I personally have never. I think I've only ever like purchased stuff like buy it now from eBay.
Oh, okay. You haven't like done the auction thing where you're sitting there with your phone and like bid.
Yeah. I've never done that. Yeah,
it gets a little crazy for sure.
And so I think that's maybe why I like gravitate towards Reverb. But it's like there's obviously a lot of benefits to eBay, and they're kind of they're kind of the OGs for this kind of thing.
Well, eBay kind of had insane fees, and then Reverb came out and sort of like killed those fees. It was like, oh, we're doing a fixed flat fee, and now like the fees are kind of more even between the site for a seller. We sell on both platforms from time to time. I think I still like, and again, there's like, you know, a little bit of an age gap between us, and I think that's partly like I grew up buying stuff on eBay and looking for stuff on eBay because that really was the only online place. There wasn't Facebook, there wasn't Reverb, and even Google Shopping, there wasn't as much stuff listed on Google Shopping. And so I still kind of go back to eBay, and I'm almost like anti-Reverb in some ways. Like I use it all the time, and I buy guitars on there and I buy pedals, but it's almost just like I'm going back to eBay because, you know, maybe it's because it's the way it always was or whatever. Sound like an old man, but I've gotten some guitars that on eBay where I love the auction thing, right? It's like I've gotten guitars for $200 that should have been $500, and if someone's just dumping them and they're like, whatever, I had no reserve, I'm just throwing it on there. You know, I know Reverb has the offer feature where you can, you know, eBay does too, but you kind of like, you know, Phil McKnight always says like watch 10 things that you want and then see who sends you the best offer, which is a pretty cool strategy. But I like going on eBay, and I like being able to just see something and you're like, oh, it's going. You know, there was like a Tom Anderson guitar the other day that was on there, and it went for $1,900, which is still a really good price for Tom Anderson. But it sat at $1,100 for the longest time, and then the last like minute and a half, it went up like $800 in you know, in 60 seconds, which is what they do.
Yeah.
I've also admittedly, you know, full transparency, had bids on stuff that I forgot about, or I'm like, oh, I'm not going to win it. I'll just throw a bid with 5 minutes left. You know, you don't want to bid with 5 minutes because you want it to be, you know, at the end. And I have won guitars that I shouldn't have won, if you know what I mean. Like, oh no, I'm really excited, but I didn't. Oh no, it's just
there's a guitar on
the rest of my life is ruined because I won this. But sometimes you're just like, I do eBay out of spite sometimes, where I'm like, oh, I see this guy bidding it up, and I'm like, I'm going to add a couple more bids so he has to pay another $150 for this guitar when he wouldn't have had to do that. But or I like looking for project guitars that are on auction, right? It's like, okay, well, this guitar needs a bunch of work, and here it is. I mean, there's guys selling broken headstock Gibsons on eBay and stuff, and if you really feel like you want to try your hand at that, you can, you know, maybe get like a $3,000 guitar for $500 or whatever it ends up being. There's that like the Stratosphere is on eBay now exclusively, I think, which
Yeah.
is interesting. So you're parting out fenders, and you can buy an actual body and an actual neck.
That's a super cool project.
Yeah, yeah. And so you mentioned yesterday, as we were kind of like doing our extensive research on this topic, you were saying one of the advantages of like a Facebook marketplace or Craigslist, like what was one of the things that you said there? Because you said something that I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Well, yeah, I remember kind of coming up with some good points and good things to say about that. Well, I like that it's kind of local, and it seems like stuff just like moves on those places, because I think you can just go in and grab it. And I think there is a lot of hesitation with like, we're like Reverb and eBay, and those do require you typically to ship it, unless, some of the listings will say local pickup, and you can go and grab them even if you're, like 100 or so miles away. But yeah, the Facebook Marketplace and the Craigslist stuff, those also, to me, they can seem almost like the most like kind of low-tech, sketchy of them.
Yeah.
And then it's like eBay and
maybe behind Carl's Jr. or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You got this Squire Strat that you're gonna love.
Yeah. But you can really also find some really cool deals and stuff that, I don't know, you can find a lot of those people that just like need to get rid of something, and you can find a lot of cool deals on like hard cases and stuff,
Which would be brutal to ship those, right?
Yeah.
Just go pick it up. Yeah, that's true.
Just go grab it, and then you can go and take your guitar and test fit it, because that's, as someone that likes sharp pointy guitars, that is the thing you got to do, is check the test fit.
You're like, doesn't fit, sorry bro. I'll give you $5 for it. That's like that.
Yeah.
That's the local thing too. It's like, well, come and get it if your custom shop Strat I've got $300, bro. That's all I got.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It seems like those listings too, though, they almost kind of like get cross-listed there a lot. So you can see, this the same listing on Craigslist as it is on Facebook Marketplace. But maybe because it ties in Facebook, and you can just like send somebody a message. Maybe that's why it facilitates like quick sales or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. You definitely bring up a good point about the eBay thing, though, and it's like they're in their own lane, and no one can really touch them as far as the auction stuff. And you've really got some really good deals with the auction stuff, and I think that's like the double-edged sword of the auction stuff. Like if you're patient and persistent, like you can find a good deal. But if you have, I don't know, like certain items are just going to command high prices on the auctions, and I don't know. To me, there's like a little bit of you're like, I put in a bid and I've got the highest bid, and there's an hour left. I'm probably going to get it, and then there's always those like vultures that swoop in at the last minute and throw $100 or whatever on your bid, and you're like,
right. Well, I think the thing that I see, and most is because I'm maybe jealous of their purchasing power, but I know there's some guys that will be on the gear page, or they'll be on forums, and someone's just like, man, I really need, I got, dentist bill, and I really got to dump this guitar, and I'll just do it for $1,500. It's a $3,000 guitar. And then they grab it, and then they're on the next auction, they're on eBay or they're on Reverb, and you just saw it go for $1,500, and they're putting it for like $2,800, and they're just like, they're not even playing it, they're just basically flipping it before, like they even use the same photos before it arrives, and they're just like, they're flipping it. And so sometimes I'm like, man, that stinks, mostly because I want those deals that they got it for. But sometimes if you're like, they're buying it out from under like a guy that's maybe been saving for a long time, and it's like, okay, maybe I'll get this really cool guitar because I've never seen a deal like this. And
it's like they pluck it before someone like that maybe like, no, not to, it's like someone that maybe is a little more deserving, I guess, like objectively,
well, they're actually going to play it, and
it.
They're not using it. And there's nothing wrong with flipping guitars. Like we've all flipped gear instrument, like, so we're not like bashing those guys, but like the really predatory guys are just like, oh man. And I'll sometimes message them on the new platform, like, didn't you just buy this from the gear page for $14.99, and now it's this price? And I've had guys like straight, like, I've had guys be like, no, that wasn't me. I'm like, it's the same guitar, and it clearly, it's so unique that you can't pretend it's like a blue Strat or something like that. Where do you guys buy your musical gear? I know now the Sweetwater has their gear exchange, which is kind of cool. You can sell stuff and then send it, get a gift card, right? I think you sell it and you get a gift card with no fees. So like Sweetwater's getting the money indirectly eventually, right? So maybe you sell something for $500 and you get $500 to spend at Sweetwater,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. And maybe they get around kind of the selling and the tax stuff that way. I'm not sure. I'm not saying they're doing it illegally, but it's a creative. It's like a new solution for the same thing that we've all been doing. But where do you guys buy your gear? What are some of your secret tips and tricks that you can share with us, or not share with us? So you can say vaguely like, "Oh, I have a couple things that I like to do to really find the best deal." Because we both know people that, they've got maybe a different budget than us, but they're always like, "Oh, I got this, $8,000 guitar for $4,500," and it's like that's a great that's a great deal. And so, where do you guys find your deals? What do you think about this subject? Do you have a favorite? Do you have a website that you absolutely hate buying guitars from? You think could be improved? I think you're mentioning eBay's like interface and all that stuff. It's pretty boring. Like Reverb just looks cleaner and neater, but it really just depends on what you're looking for. And then obviously, the classic is Google and then hitting the shopping button, which then you can see stuff if it's integrated in there through all sorts of platforms. One I don't use that much is GBase, which is another thing, or like the used Guitar Center website where you're like, oh, I can find something at the GC, and I'm looking at a Squire Bullet from the 80s over there that we got for really cheap that way too. So what do you guys do for your guitar buying habits? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you guys.